Hey, what's up guys, this is Loma, and this is going to be an Ethereum update video. So if you haven't seen the prior Ethereum videos, you'll be a little confused as to what I'm talking about here, where the bids were, how we came up with certain levels, and what we're looking at and what we're not looking at. Now before we get started, big shout out to Binance for sponsoring us, and big shout out to you guys for always liking and subscribing. And if you're not, go ahead and do that so that you guys can stay updated. And let's get right into it. So last time we briefly touched on what we didn't want to see, and we talked about we didn't want any daily closes below this level, so below 382, maybe 380, no closes below. And so far we've had no closes below. What's concerning is that we're actually trading right below this area, and maybe it's consolidation, maybe it's just weakness, but what we want to see is this area, so the 395 resistance, right? 395 resistance get reclaimed, right? So ideally you want to see support touch and a bounce. You don't want to see support touch and price just sit there, right? Where buyers didn't really step in and push the price up. So this is a little concerning. So what I'm doing is I'm actually going to take a decent gamble here and bet that if we're bullish, if we're going to go up, right, that this was the low. Sorry, let me change that to white so you guys can see. Okay, so I'm betting that this is the low right here at 373, right? With that in mind, I'm actually gonna move my stop up to below this wick and below this expansion candle. So in the off chance that we get some crazy wick, I do expect this weekly level to hold, and I do expect us to close above this wick. Obviously, I'm wrong if we start trading below like 362. Okay, in my opinion, I'm wrong. The chart would look fucking atrocious, right? If we start getting candles down here, then it's most likely that we retest the lows here, maybe even go lower, because do not forget, there's a lot of empty air right here, right? From 300 or 315 even, down to 250, it's a whole lot of nothing. And then you're probably wondering, well, if it doesn't look that good, why are you closing it? Well, because I'm gonna hide this. Okay, so if you look on the weekly, I'm gonna go ahead and erase some key areas, right? So, okay, we already got filled on the bids, so there's no point, right? Okay, all right, so predefined market levels. You'll see that on the weekly, this actually just looks like it's retesting this as support, right? So we had a little breakdown, fake out, right? And now we're retesting it, right? So it looked like it was gonna break down, fake out, reclaimed. Okay, so this is hard for me to really sit here and be like, oh my God, this is so bearish. And look, could this fall? Yes, but I'm betting that this is the low, right? We have a macro bull trend in Bitcoin, which might as well carry the USD pairing. So I really don't see any benefits to shorting here, right? I can understand not getting into a position here, but we're already entered, right? We got our bids filled right here. I don't see why you would want to exit your position at support. And I do think we'll see something along the lines of this. So if you look here, you'll see that we had a low, right? We set the low and we had a wick down, but buyers stepped in right beforehand, right? So we never swept this low. And I think that's something that could possibly happen here, right? Where we go down, test the lows again, but we don't actually manage to sweep this low because buyers are more interested and they stepped in, or for whatever reason, right? I don't think this low gets taken, and if it does, I'd be willing to bet that this idea is wrong. Alright, so now back on the daily, you understand what I'm talking about when I say, alright, the weekly is at support, there's no point in shorting it or exiting your position here, right? You're essentially exiting near break even because you're scared. You're essentially trading your P&L here, right? There's no technical reason for you to ignore this, right? I could understand shorting here, right? Maybe it tests as resistance and you want a short, but even then, you'll notice that we're not dumping. Like we aren't dumping. This low is still intact. What I did was move my stop loss up because now there's a technical level that allows me to define my risk a little bit better. But other than that, no real updates with Ethereum, right? No like, oh, I changed my bias, it's over. All right, be careful of that. Price can go a little bit lower than what you'd expect, but that's why you have leeway, right? That's why you have a stop loss with some room for your setup to breathe. Because too many times people set really tight stop losses and it'll get triggered because everybody wants this perfectly tight stop loss to minimize losses, whatever, right? And then it'll tag the stop loss, maybe go down another 0.5% before skyrocketing. Okay, so keep that in mind when you're setting stop losses. Like I wouldn't set a stop loss like this, right? That's just way too fucking tight. Like if this gets swept, I am fuel. This is fuel. This is fuel for it to take your shit and go up. And then you're pissed. You're like, oh, it's market manipulation. No, it's not market manipulation. You're just a dumbass. Like you set your stop loss at the most obvious level where if I'm a whale and I want to get filled on some cheap Ethereum, I'm going to push price down to that swing point because you, and I assume a majority of other traders, put their stop loss right below invalidation. So all it needs to do is wick a little bit and then suddenly there's a couple Bitcoins of liquidity for them to buy into, right? So again, raised up stop loss below these two areas. We define the wick as the new low. Don't want to see price trade below down here, but if it does, we gave it leeway, right? Backed by the expansion candle, right? So yeah, this is it for Ethereum. We're filled. Send it up to 480, right? This was the high take profit. This was the more aggressive one. But yeah, and then if we're, going crazy, then 570. All right, and I hope this video gives you guys a glimpse of what's going through my mind as the trade progresses, because I think that's the biggest thing that most people don't get, because you can always read technicalities, right? You can always watch a video on support and resistance, but it's very rare to really sit there and hear articulated thoughts of how a trade is progressing, what you want to see, what you don't want to see, what's happening, how you're reacting to it, yada yada yada. So hope that helps. Thank you guys as always for watching the video. Appreciate you guys, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.